We've been moving these Cooney pigs at least once a week for the last 3 years on this property. I'm gonna share with you what our current setup is moving pigs in pasture, moving them on grass. Also tools and tips and tricks of things that I currently am doing to move these pigs. They were in this area, and then we moved them over to this area. And now we're gonna move them in this area. First, let's talk about why do we move our pigs? For one, it makes them healthier because they're constantly moving. They're not sitting in their own mud. They're not sitting in their own poop. They're constantly going. And I believe that makes a healthier animal when you do that. Also, it helps with the grass. They eat what they want, and they also fertilize the land as well. And in the end, it produces the healthiest pork you can possibly eat. It is labor intensive to move animals, but with the right systems in place, it can be done. And the more you do it, the easier it is. If you're familiar with the Premier One netting, this is from Premier One, or any kind of movable electric netting, it can be a love or hate relationship. This is pig netting. It's shorter than chicken netting. So it's a little bit more easier to move because it is shorter. I've used these for broiler chickens as well, and I use this for our turkeys. If you're gonna use netting to move animals, pigs, you're gonna need at least 4. For 4 pigs, I like to use 2 100-foot rolls tied together. If these are bigger pigs, you might want a little bit more, or you're gonna have to move them more often than once a week. What I like doing is the day before you're gonna move them is to set up their net. I like to lay out the first one, just lay it all on the ground first. If the ground is really hard, a rubber mallet. Don't use a metal one, it'll mess up the stakes, but rubber. And then come back and start putting them up. Not necessary, but these help. These are from Milwaukee. They have like high dexterity. There's like rubber on the palms. These help a lot, especially in the winter, just to grab on. After we got that one up, then we need to lay down the other one same way. The area does not have to be a perfect square net. It really kind of depends how your terrain is. Sometimes you're on a hill. Sometimes you want to give them a tree or a bush for shade, and that's okay. But you do want it to be a tight fence. It has to be tight. You want to pull it, maybe get your foot on the bottom and kind of pull the bottom and push down with your chest. If the vegetation is too much, the grass is too high, you're gonna have to mow or edge. And the more you move pigs and using the netting, the more you will automatically know how much space you're gonna need when you mow. So at the end here, it's okay if you overlap. They don't need to be connected. Only connect them at one end. There it is, 2 100-foot rolls right there. And you notice that it's best to set it up right next to the current one that's already up. The trick is you want to piggyback over. So that's why I say you need 4 nets. So you're set up 2, one that they're using, and then you set up another one right next to it, one that you're going to move them into. Now you could get away from the netting altogether and just put permanent paddocks if you set it up right. But personally, I don't want a bunch of fencing all over the place. I like it how it's open and it looks nicer. I did mow. When I moved them here, I had to mow. You can tell. It's a little bit longer from this side. I just mowed a circle all the way around so that way it wouldn't be so overgrown. Otherwise, it was going to be like that much. All right, pigs. They know. Pigs are smart. If you get them on a routine, they're gonna know when it's time. All right, so we're here. Paddock, new paddock. Another thing, it's the evening right now, and I just fed these pigs, is move pigs when they're hungry, before you feed them. Because that's just gonna help things move along. They'll move for food. All right, we made it. It's the next morning. Look at that sunrise. It's not as cold last night. The water, no frozen water. Let's move some pigs. The best way to move some pigs is make sure they're hungry. Do not feed them and then move them. Yesterday we set up their fence. It's nice and tight. We need to turn off the Energizer, don't forget. It's easier if you have a doorway here, like an end. So you have this end, you just open the door. All right, pigs. Come on. Just opening the door. Come on. Pigs will usually look at their surroundings, seeing what's available to eat. There's plenty of green grass. We need to move their shelter over so that way they're not pestering you. What helps if you feed them on the far side of the area. Don't feed them right here where you're moving the shelter. When I first move them to a new spot, I don't even feed them any grain usually. But I know what's gonna happen. As soon as I start moving the shelter, they're gonna all come to me. These are cooney pigs, so I hardly feed them. Come on. All right, they're being occupied. I like this little shelter because it fits through one opening of the fence. It's not so wide. And then we're gonna close up the fence. Now remember, the other end, it's not hooked up, it's overlapping. So this is the end that we're gonna hook up, and then I have these two ends on the electric net here. We're gonna move them the opposite way. So one's going this way, one's going this way. And then basically you're gonna wrap around the two poles, usually 2 or 3 times, and then I'm going to connect them. These are 2 metal clips that you connect together. I'm going to connect those together, and then I'm going to get my hot red wire and hook it onto those ends, the metal ends. Now if you do it right, you don't even have to move the Energizer. So the Energizer was here for this move, for that move, for this move, and then even when they were right here. So basically kind of going, you know, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's turn that on. Now on the next move, we're gonna take down this fencing and move it on this end. And we're gonna keep going, keep moving. And then we're gonna have to move the Energizer over here as well. For the longest time I was using the Premier One solar Energizers, and I feel over time they just kind of give out. I don't feel like they're so reliable. For pigs, I like to use at least a 1 joule solar Energizer. The stronger the better. If you have access to one that you plug in and a stronger one, I mean, I have a perimeter one that's stronger. But if you're in an area like we are here, like in the middle of our pasture, one that you plug in to a wall is not very practical. So having a solar one like this is very helpful. I started using these Speedrite solar Energizers this year, and so far I love them. I feel like they are more durable. And there's the battery. No need to switch the battery yet this year, because eventually you're going to have to start switching these out and charging them. But I haven't had any issues with that. So I actually have a link, coupon code for these. I'll leave that in the show notes. Also a link to all the tools here. Also, I like to elevate these a little bit, even if you set it on a bucket. Here I have just a rebar, and this has a little spot to hold it, just to get it elevated off the ground. Because what I noticed is that on these energizers is that bugs like to live in there, especially red ants. It's horrible. You pick this up and it's full of ants, and they have a nest in there. So when it's elevated, I feel like there's not so many bugs that go in there. This is like a T-shaped ground rod. I like the T-shaped ones rather than just a straight rod. So that way it's kind of like a handle. If you don't have a mallet, it's a little bit easier to put in the ground. Just put your weight on it, or you can hammer it in. Now if you get shocked, it only hurts for a little bit, and then it goes away. So you have the ground and then the hot. My perimeter fence is also from Speedrite. They're from New Zealand. They know their stuff out there in New Zealand. And fun fact, my Cooney pigs are from New Zealand. What did you find? Found a pumpkin. No, that's a zucchini. Actually, they planted that with their poop. They're planting their own food. They're so smart. You're being stingy. You're being shysty. That right there too is a benefit of moving pigs, or any animal really. They'll poop out the seeds of the food that they eat, and it'll replant. I mean, there's all kinds of food growing right now in our pasture. These pigs have grown their own tomatoes, cucumbers, pumpkins. I get these energizers plus our main energizer from PowerFlex website. And actually I got you guys a coupon code if you're interested, if you're looking to buy, because 'tis the season for fencing. I'll leave that down in the notes. In the summer I don't typically give them hay. In the winter I'll give them hay, and I'll reuse some of this hay. If the hay is not that bad, you know, if it doesn't look all wet or matted down, I'll reuse it from the previous move. The trick of moving pigs is that it needs to be hot fence. It needs to be hot. It needs to burn their buns. So always check it. We're at 3 volts, 3,000. Yeah, 3.2. This pretty much just always in my pocket. And this just checks the voltage on all the fences. I mean, many times I just you know, you're just walking by, hey, check the fence. You know, when you just set it up like this, check the fence. Never take it for granted that the fence is on just because it looks like it's on. And then if you don't have a volt tester, you can always touch it. That's my current setup right now that we use to move pigs, whether they're hobbit pigs or bigger pigs. Same setup that I would use for both. Over time, you will build confidence on raising animals, especially pigs. If you're not used to pigs and you're just starting off with chickens and you want to get pigs, it's getting over the mentality of that, of like, okay, these are pigs, they're gonna get out, they're gonna do this, and having a hot fence helps with your confidence and gives you a more of a peace of mind that our animals are gonna stay. But it's not a matter of if a pig is gonna get out. It's a matter of when it's gonna get out. because it will happen. But hopefully you train it. Hopefully you train it to a bucket. That's another thing. Well, yeah, so many things could go into it, but this is about fencing. Thank you guys for being here. We're gonna continue to move our pigs all throughout winter because we got some bombing grass right now. This grass is popping, and it's super green. It almost feels, it looks like it thinks it's spring or something. I don't know. But thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this helps you. And again, check out the links. There's some coupon codes down there for you guys. Thank you guys for being here, and we'll see you guys on the next one.